For the University of Louisiana system met in executive session to discuss personnel matters related to the University of Louisiana at Monroe presidential search. While in executive session, no motions were made nor votes taken. Mr. Chairman, I turn it back over to you to begin the afternoon session.
Thank you, President Gallo, and good afternoon to everyone here at UL Monroe. We are the UL Monroe President's Research Committee, and we welcome you again to the meetings that have been occurring over the last 2 days. I'm Mark Romero, Chair of the University of Louisiana System Board of Supervisors, and with me are other members of our board as well as community members here to do the good work in front of us. Before we begin, let me inform you that anyone who wishes to make a public comment should fill out a public comment card and turn it into one of our University of Louisiana System staff members here at the front, and those comments will be limited to 2 minutes. As a courtesy, I ask that you please turn off your cell phones. And again, thank you for being here. At this time, Dr. Colley, if you would please call the roll for us to return to open session.
President Rick Gallo.
Here.
Mr. Drew Brown.
Here.
Mr. Barry Busada. Mr. C. Davison.
Here.
Dr. Joe Leatherman.
Present.
Ms. Elizabeth Pierre.
Present.
Mr. Mark Romero.
Here.
Mr. Joe Salter. Dr. Jeffrey Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Paul Coburn. Mr. Lee Denny.
Here.
Mayor Friday Ellis.
Here.
Ms. Dana Mejia.
Here.
Ms. Sheila Grayson. Mr. Roy Heatherly.
Here.
Mr. Charles Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Jeff Laudenheimer.
Here.
Ms. Jaden Maloney. Mr. Todd Perry.
Here.
Mr. Dan Robertson. Mr. Anthony Rome.
Here.
Ms. Linnell Ruckert.
Here.
Mr. Jamie Shelton.
Here.
Ms. Patience Talley.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Eric. And at this time, we'll turn our meeting over to our Search Committee Chair, President Rick Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier, we began the process of conducting public interviews for the position of President of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. We are pleased that each has accepted our invitation to visit ULM and to meet with not only the search committee, but also with faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community members who together make ULM the great university that it is. Not only are we afforded the opportunity to interact with candidates to discern their ability to lead this institution, but also the visit allows the candidates to determine whether this is the best path for each of them. We have interviewed Dr. Jonathan Ambrose and Mr. Chris Broadwater. Shortly, we will interview Dr. Carrie Castille. Does any member of the committee have any questions at this time? Dr. Calley, do we have any public comments at this time?
No, sir.
Okay. And before we bring our next candidate in, I did want to recognize our interim president, Dr. Nick Bruno, who has come back to serve this university during this period. Dr. Bruno, thank you for taking the time to be here, and thank you for your service to this university. Now, before we begin our interview with semifinalist Dr. Carrie Castille, I would like to share with you the framework for today's interview. Dr. Castille will provide an opening statement, and then the search committee will ask questions. After the search committee has exhausted its questions, Dr. Erica Calais may address questions to the candidates that have been submitted by the audience. Again, if anyone would like to submit a question to be considered, please do so by completing a card and turning it in to our staff members. We will entertain as many public questions as time allows. Following the public interview, the committee will enter into executive session to further dialogue with the candidate. Once Dr. Castille has been interviewed and her executive session has concluded, the search committee will return to open session and recess until deliberations beginning at 3:30. At this time, I would invite Dr. Carrie Castille to the table. Dr. Carrie Castille currently serves as an agriculture and national resources consultant, providing strategic advice on agricultural policy and technical assistance at the national, state, and local levels. She has held significant roles such as Senior Vice Chancellor and Senior Vice President at the University of Tennessee, where she led agricultural research and extension programs, and Director of the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture, overseeing over $1.9 billion in funding for university partnerships. Additionally, she has held leadership positions in the USDA, where she contributed to policy development, crisis management, and economic recovery efforts. Dr. Castille holds a PhD in renewable natural resources from Louisiana State University with a focus on environmental and public policy. She also holds a Master of Science in Environmental Studies with an emphasis on environmental policy and toxicology, and a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Thank you, Dr. Castille, for joining us today. Would you please take a few moments to introduce yourself and provide the committee with an opening statement? Dr. Castille.
Thank you so much. So let me first thank the committee, the selection committee, for all of the hard work that you're doing. I know this is not an easy task, and I know you're taking a lot of time to be able to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to select a candidate that can be the president of our next president of ULM. So I understand and I appreciate the time that it's taken on you. I've been part of selection committees, I've led selection committees, and it is not an easy feat. So thank you so much. I also want to thank the folks from the UL system. I will tell you that Dr. Kale and Dr. Green and everyone within the system have been tremendously helpful and answered questions, so they have been absolutely tremendous. So thank them, please, thank you both for the work that you've done, and I greatly appreciate what they've done. I also want to introduce my husband, Dr. Robert Robichaud, native of Rayne, Louisiana. And he is my much better half, I will tell you. He's been great through this process. He's been encouraging me, and we both come from extremely humble backgrounds. And I'm blessed to be able to have him as my partner and to be here today. So let me start by telling you how much I'm humbled and honored to be before you today. I never thought in my career that I would have the opportunity to be here and be a semi-finalist for a president of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. But I'm so glad I'm here. I really am, and it is a humbling experience. So I grew up in a little community called Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. Actually, it's Ruth, Louisiana, so right in between Parks and Breaux Bridge. And 2 stop signs, and I grew up with family. I grew up with farms, and I grew up with 4-H. So I participated in 4-H programs all throughout school. I had a show lamb named Annie. Annie was probably one of the fattest lambs that I've ever seen, but she was being in 4-H and having the responsibility of an animal to wake up every morning and take care of that animal, and every afternoon was quite the experience. I will tell you, I remember the gentleman that bought that lamb from me. His name is Mr. Nicky Melanson, and after seeing me cry when I walked that lamb around the ring, and she followed me, he brought that lamb back in 3 days. So growing up in 4-H allowed me to build strength and character, learning, service learning, and really opened doors for me. And it's my understanding that this region has really, really strong 4-H and FFA programs, and I'm delighted to see that. So as alumni of 4-H, I'm really pleased to see that. In my community where I grew up, in our high school, not many of us thought about college. It was, let's get out of high school and let's get to work. And for me, being able to be part of 4-H and being able to see the university campus, I knew that I wanted more, and I knew that I could have more. I also want to explain that we both come from humble beginnings. We're both first-generation college graduates. My parents went to high school. They graduated from high school. They worked really, really hard. And unfortunately, with the downturn of the oil and gas industry, they had to look for different employment options, and they opened a donut shop in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. I can tell you no one wants to make donuts at 2 a.m. in the morning. But my dad needed somebody to help him. So in 4th grade, I'd wake up with my dad. I'd go to work. I'd help him make donuts. And then I'd sleep on the flour sacks from about 6 o'clock until I had to wake up to walk to school. And it taught me the importance of work ethic and the importance of family and supporting our community. And I'll tell you, oftentimes we had community members, Mr. Nolan, Mr. Terry, Mr. Paul, that were coming in and helping us because we didn't have enough people to be able to help to work and support the business. So I believe in the power of community. My husband's family, his mom had a 3rd grade education and owned 17 businesses in Rayne, Louisiana. Helped to start one of the first savings and loan banks in Rayne, Louisiana. And I think it shows the power of grit, a testament to her hard work and the desire to work hard and accomplish things. And she's instilled that in her son and her 3 other boys. Her name is Miss Gladys Robichaud. Unbelievable young woman, and I can tell you I have had incredible role models in my life and role models that I've gained through this process, and incredible young men and women who have supported me throughout my entire career. So as I mentioned, I was a first-generation college graduate. I went to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette to make sure that I was supported in a regional university that I could call home. Coming from a rural community, it's important that you go into an environment, especially an environment of learning, where you feel like you have supportive family, your faculty, your peers, your teachers that are there to provide the support and the scaffolding that you need to succeed. And I think I had an incredible opportunity there. Graduated from the College of Engineering. I'm very proud to say that I am the first female to give the commencement speech at the University of Lafayette, University of Louisiana at Lafayette's College of Engineering. And I am the first female on the University of Louisiana at Lafayette's Hall of Distinction for the College of Engineering. So I've faced many firsts in my life, and I'm very, very proud of those accomplishments. But I have been in non-traditional roles and taken non-traditional approaches that have really paid off in my life, in which I've succeeded. I went on to complete my graduate work at LSU and became an assistant professor and worked in the extension service and spent more time here in Northeast Louisiana than I've probably spent anywhere else. This was my office, either going to, at the time, it was the Calhoun Research Station, it's no longer there, supporting our poultry producers, going to the Northeast Region Experiment Station in Winsboro, or in Chase, Louisiana. But also spent a lot of time here as State Director of Rural Development and provided a lot of resources to this region to be able to support rural health, our rural hospitals, rural prosperity, education, economic development, and workforce development. So I decided to leave the university to take an interesting and exciting opportunity to work with Commissioner Mike Strain, the Commissioner of Agriculture. And it took me away from academia, but it also gave me an opportunity to learn more about state government and state policy and funding and appropriations and the legislative process. And during that time, worked through a $110 million deficit. So I'll say that again. Work through and eliminate a $110 million deficit. And we built an incredible team, and it took time, and it took fortitude, but to me, it was probably one of the most valuable experiences of my career. And we knew that we had to lead with compassion, and we needed people to continue to serve the mission of the state, even during transition. So I knew that it was imperative that we make these people understand that we are there to support them, and we're there to nurture them, and we're here to serve the people. That role also connected me to many stakeholders throughout the country. We can talk about agriculture, but without agriculture, beyond agriculture, we can talk about the National Academies of Sciences. I had an opportunity to represent our agricultural producers in a National Academies of Sciences panel to talk about fertilizer and the importance of having those resources for our producers. I also had the opportunity from there to be able to work with the Secretary of Agriculture and be appointed to the National Agriculture Research, Economics, and Extension Board. It was the first of one of my appointments at USDA, and that role was responsible for setting the priorities for education and research at USDA and making recommendations to not only the Secretary, but also to Congress as to where we needed the support to be able to continue to do the things that we do in agriculture. I shortly became chair of that board. And I will tell you, we had some great discussions, but I understood and appreciated the power of working together, bringing great minds together to work towards a common solution. And the way that we did it is through developing a shared vision in which we all can support, getting the buy-in that we needed, and implementing that shared vision, and lastly, holding each other accountable. So it was a tremendous process. It is something that I'm extremely grateful for. And from that, I had the opportunity to serve 3 presidential appointments. One was the State Director for Rural Development. That job afforded me the opportunity to have a $1.5 billion budget in which I could support our rural communities in Louisiana. And I will tell you, due to the needs, most of the resources that I dedicated were in this region. So much so that the Undersecretary of Rural Development wanted to come and visit these communities and see the investments that we made in economic development, in workforce development, in infrastructure, in education. So Ann Hazlitt came to visit us. We gave her some great food, we showed her a great time, and we set the model. And from that visit, I was awarded one of the highest awards by the Secretary in USDA for the work that we did in this region. It was the Secretary's Award of Excellence. It was the second one I received, but the one that I'm the most proud of. From that time, I was offered another opportunity, and I will tell you, this is during a 6-year tenure. So these opportunities to be able to step up and lead, and when the Secretary and the President tell you, we need you in a leadership role to come in and either transform these agencies or to be a part of a leadership team that advances agriculture, science, and innovation. It is probably one of the most humbling experiences, being sworn in by the Secretary and having those opportunities to lead. It really stretched my capabilities, and through that job, I was able to support the farmers, many of them in Northeast Louisiana, with CARES Act money and money to be able to keep them farming during an extremely challenging time during COVID. We also supported them with risk management resources, and I understand we have a phenomenal risk management program here. From there, I was offered the opportunity, a third opportunity by the President and by the Secretary to be able to lead the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, the agency that had the $2 billion budget that dedicated resources towards education and research. From there, we had the opportunity to invest those resources in creating the next generation of leaders that are not only going to lead agriculture, not only going to lead our rural communities, not only lead our healthcare programs, not only lead in rural prosperity, but be leaders amongst leaders. And those opportunities to be able to invest $2 billion in resources, it's a tremendous and it's an awesome responsibility. But we were able to build a team during an extremely challenging time in which the agency was relocated out of Washington, D.C. to Kansas City, in which we lost 65% of our team. We had to rebuild in a very conscientious way. We had to rebuild the trust of our communities and the people that we serve. And for me, it was an incredible experience, but we met every mark, and we were able to deliver the support that we needed to the people. I know I might be running out of time, but there's a couple of other things that I'd like to mention. I was recruited to be the Chief Academic Officer, Senior Vice Chancellor, and Senior Vice President of the University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture. I signed a one-year contract, and I fulfilled that year and met over 90% of the marks that were laid out before me. It was a time of change, and they needed a leader to come in and make those changes. And I'm grateful that I've had people from that community, and I've met some of the very, very best people that are part of my life and that have been references for me to attest to my time at the University of Tennessee. There are some lessons to be learned from all these experiences, particularly from Tennessee. The first thing is accents matter. When you're making changes, especially unpopular changes, those accents matter. People are more receptive to those changes when your accent sounds like theirs. So for me, it was time to bring in a change leader who was able to build on my successes and be able to continue to make those transformational changes. Two, and what I'll close with, is you serve the people you love. You serve the people you love. And whether I've been in Washington, D.C. or in Tennessee, I knew that I would always come back home and serve the people of this state through economic development, through education, through workforce development. I knew that I would come home and serve the people of this state and hopefully the people of Northeast Louisiana in a role, and I will tell you that I will always be committed to serving this region. I've done so in the past, and I will always continue to do so. It's in my heart. It's what I believe in. So from Bayou Teche to Bayou Desired, I'm here to make the best better.
Thank you, Dr. Castille. I'll now turn it over to committee members for questions.
Dr. Castille, can you hear me? I don't know if my mic is on. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for going through this process, and I had the pleasure of hearing you in the community and alumni session, and something that I will always have written on a sticky note is know your stuff, know who you're stuffing, and keep on stuffing. I thought that was very dynamic, so thank you for that.
And you can use it.
Listen, I will, absolutely. So my question is a two-part question, and I guess it's kind of related to that quote, and it's, how do you define the responsibilities of the president? And then, can you share specific skills and experiences that highlight your potential for success in fulfilling these responsibilities?
Sure. So I see the role of the president of ULM and the president of any university is to be here to assure the success of our students, our faculty, and our academic community, as well as the community that we serve. So the president is here to be able to work with our leadership, work with our communities, gather input, be a champion, be an advocate, be it if it's with our police jury, our state government, our federal government, but to be that champion, that person that's going to advocate. We develop policies through shared governance, and I believe in the power of shared governance to be able to gather input, learn and appreciate everyone's role, but collectively work towards solutions. It's also the CEO. We have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we have the resources and we're stewards of the resources that are allocated towards this university for the success of those students. But in addition to that, if we don't have those resources, and we do understand that right now we are in a challenging situation funding-wise for state government and for federal government and for education, but to go out and find those resources to be able to meet those needs. In my career, I've been able to do that. And for me, the steps are, and the ways in which I'll do that, again, paramount to anything is shared government, shared commitment, shared accountability, shared strategy, shared visioning. Here's another quote. You support what you help create. And I firmly believe that we need all minds and all hearts to come together and rally around this university and make sure that we're providing those resources for the success of the next generation of leaders in this area. And commitment. We have to dig deep and demonstrate to our students, our faculty, our academic community, our alumni, our stakeholders, to our board, that we are committed to this process and we hold each other accountable.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Castille, very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, to you and your husband, and being part of our process.
Thank you.
It's a real honor to have you with us. So, enrollment numbers are a critical factor in the success and sustainability of our university, ULM. What specific strategies do you plan to implement to attract and retain students, particularly in the face of shifting demographics and increasing competition from other institutions?
Thank you. So I think there's really three things that we need to look at when we look at the increase in enrollment. I think for not only our students, but also faculty, we're looking at recruitment, we're looking at retention, and we're looking at job placement. We have an incredible healthcare community here that provides 30,000 jobs in the Northeast region. So we have jobs, and we have a university here, and I will tell you, there's no better, especially when it comes to health sciences, to be able to deliver on that. So really looking at where the jobs are, making sure that our students are day one ready, and that they know that, but also inspiring intellectual curiosity, because they're the next pioneers, right? They're the people that are gonna find cures for diseases. They're gonna be the next presidents of ULM. I met a young man last night. Put that guy in. He is incredible. He really is. So there are people that want to serve. Number two, engaging with our alumni. They can be tremendous supporters and be the ones that really carry that flag for us. They've lived the experience. They've been on campus. They're happy to share, and I've met with so many of them. And I will tell you, I did my homework. You know, I am staying true to the process that our students go through. When I became interested in this job, I started doing my homework, and I started talking to alumni. And you know what they say? This is my university. This is our university. And I tell you, I wanted to come to school here. I think maybe we can create another degree for me. But the alumni can be an extremely beneficial tool. Our parents, we're not only recruiting students, our parents are also, they need to be ensured that, one, their babies are safe. I have 2 kids that I dropped off at college, and that banana split is hard. It is tough. But they know that they're assured, and alumni can do that. Students, I rode a golf cart yesterday, and we saw students giving tours. They can be your best advocates. The peer-to-peer, talk about their experience, talk about being on the cheerleading staff, talk about being an athlete. Those students become alumni as well. And community support. I also think that a tremendous recruiting tool is our community colleges. Louisiana Delta Community College, their 2-and-2 programs, we're already seeing success. But how do we strengthen that partnership? I would love to see Delta Community College students on campus a lot more. I want to see them in the stands for our softball games, our baseball games, our football games. There's an opportunity to really recruit, and you've seen success throughout the state with that partnership and a strong partnership with our community colleges. So I plan to really tap into that resource. Internally, externally, I think we all have it here. It's going to take all of us. But lastly, I think the role of the president is a recruiter. I had an opportunity to have lunch with a young woman at the Petroleum Club in Lafayette, Louisiana, and her name is Mia Landry. Of course, I'm like, who's your mama? So, of course, I knew her, and I knew her family. And I said, Mia, what you been doing? She said, well, I started college, and I want to be a dental hygienist. And I told my husband, who's a dentist? I said, this girl. And I said, ULM? She said, ULM. And last night, I met a cheerleader, and I graduated with her mother. The president is the top recruiter as well. I want to be seen in the communities. I want to be in those high schools. I want to be at the restaurants. I want to be at the coffee shops. I want to be wherever I can be visible to be a promoter for the excellence of this university.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Castille. Dr. Robichaux, welcome back to Monroe. Thank you for loving this institution enough to apply to lead. I'd like to welcome you to this university as well. I think we all, as you have found out real quickly, love this university and want it to succeed. The question I have for you today, universities across the country are facing financial pressures due to the shifting enrollment issues, rising operational costs, and changes in state funding. What specific strategies do you have to implement to navigate these challenges, all the while maintaining academic excellence and maintaining those supportive services for the students?
Thanks for the question. Coming from a place of familiarity, I think one of the biggest opportunities is for us to be able to diversify our revenue. So, are there opportunities to be able to conduct research studies in pharmacy? Be able to look at the intersection between food and health. In fact, Southern University received a significant award from NIFA to be able to do that very thing. Partnerships are going to be critical, but there is one thing that I remember this. I spoke to a stakeholder and supporter, and he talked about the GOLD program. Give $1 little dollar. It starts with that $1 little dollar. Fundraising is key. It really is. It's something that we cannot ignore, the power of fundraising, but the buy-in through that $1 little dollar. We also, of course, I want to lead by looking at how we increase revenue, not how we cut. We're going to have to make hard decisions, undoubtedly. And at the end of the day, we got to make sure that our programs, we specialize in programs that are going to equate to jobs in this region. We don't want our students to leave. But just as much as an increase in enrollment is, retention is equally as important. So making sure that we have the support for retention. It's going to take all collective minds. I plan to be able to lead however I can to be able to demonstrate how we can secure those resources on the research and federal government side. I have no problem with going to the State House and being a champion for this university and asking for the support that we need. Increase enrollment, making sure that our university is the right size to be able to deliver on the programs that we need. Fundraising, and then of course athletics. Athletics are a key piece to this. So when we start talking about enrollment, athletics can be tremendously beneficial. So looking at our revenue, increasing it, diversifying, and making sure that we're getting the support that we need, making sure that our organization is the right size to be able to support not only for today's students, but for the growth that we're going to have. But also making sure that everyone knows that ULM is a strong force, and we're here, and we're not going anywhere. But we do need the help. And lastly, fundraising. Give one little dollar.
Good afternoon, Dr. Castille. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well, thank you.
Wonderful. You spoke on shared governance earlier, and we did talk about it yesterday. But I would like to ask, shared governance is essential in fostering collaboration among faculty, staff, students, and administration. How do you plan to ensure meaningful engagement from all stakeholders in decision-making processes while balancing institutional priorities and leadership responsibilities?
Thank you. So I think shared governance is an opportunity not only to be able to talk about what's not working, but also what's working. I had a question yesterday in the faculty meeting about, will I ensure that the staff senate has an opportunity to participate in our shared governance process? And my answer to that very incredible question was, absolutely. It's going to take all of us to be part of that process. I've had a philosophy through my career, especially when we're working on trying to solve problems from a collective voice. And when you have ideas, instead of asking why, the question should really be, why not? So to that young lady that asked me the question yesterday about this, I know. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek. But to that young woman who asked me that question, why not? Why not have the staff senate? So I am absolutely, unequivocally committed to shared governance. In order for the process to work, we have to keep each other accountable. And those conversations have to continue to happen. You know the programs better than I do at this point. You're an advocate. SGA is an advocate. The Faculty Senate is an advocate. If we don't know where the challenges are or where the opportunities are, we can't fix them and we can't build on them. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thanks for my tongue-in-cheek response.
Thank you, Dr. Castille, for your service to Louisiana. I have a question for you. ULM has established partnerships and program collaborations with industry to address workforce needs, drive enrollment growth, and expand private funding opportunities. Can you describe your experience with similar initiatives and share specific ways you've contributed to the development and its success?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, We want to look at recruitment, retention, and job placement, and that's where our industry partners really come in. One, to be able to provide input as to the types of individuals that they need to be able to support their organizations, but in return, what we need to do in order to be able to deliver on those needs. We need to get that input early and often, as much as we can, because it's not just at the beginning of that relationship and partnership. It's throughout the entire process. I understand that we have some tremendous partnerships already built. I know in healthcare, we already have partnerships established, and it's ULM that has a seat at the table. How do we build on the success of those types of partnerships? So I think it's absolutely critical. I think you have an economic innovation hub here in which industry has rallied around to be able to support. So if it's manufacturing, if it's biomedical research, if it's health sciences, if it's pharmacy, if it's construction management, we have those opportunities and we have that job placement. What we need to do is make sure that we're hearing from those employers as to what they need. And if we need to pivot or if we need to adjust, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're doing that. Again, talking early and often, but I do have experience with that. I'll start with a healthcare example. When I was state director for rural development, there was a need to build a rural hospital in Vidalia, Louisiana. Unfortunately, and for whatever reason, that project sat on the shelf for 6 years. And when I came in, I knew, and industry was telling me, we have the needs. We have the desire. We need the workforce. We need the infrastructure. And within 6 months, after it sat for 6 years, within 6 months, we closed on that project. And then later I went to the groundbreaking and the ribbon cutting. And I remember someone telling me, this is going to be a legacy project for you. It's the culmination of industry, federal government, state government, workforce development, economic development, coming together for one cause. And it was that shared vision. And I'm so extremely proud of that. I couldn't be more excited. And it's my understanding that they may be expanding, and I still talk to the folks there. But that's how you respond. You don't want to waste those opportunities, even if it's been sitting for six years. You don't want to waste those opportunities early and often, and respond. Thank you.
Dr. Castille, it's an honor to have you and your husband here with us today on our campus, and thank you for bringing up that genuine enthusiasm. I like it. But anyway, I wanted to get back to athletics. You kind of hit on that a little bit and touched on it, and obviously athletics is part of our university setting. There's so many financial funnels, and athletics can be a tough one. So how do we deal with that to keep it balanced across the board with all the different financial funnels we have to deal with?
Sure. So I believe that athletics and academics are inextricably linked. At the end of the day, we have one university. Athletics, academics, and everything in between. So they are inextricably linked. When we start talking about increases in enrollment, athletics, I've heard that athletics is the front porch, the front door, the gateway. It truly is, and it's football, it's baseball, it's softball, it's our water ski team. And that winning spirit in athletics shines through the entire campus. But they also exhibit positive campus life, and they are winning when it comes to grades. We are in a challenging time in athletics, and I am not going to deny that. But it's going to take creativity, it's going to take fundraising, and it's going to take all of us to be able to come together and strategize. And I will tell you, I know the game is changing. It has changed rapidly overnight. But when you have an increase in ticket sales from a winning season, and we're 48% up in those ticket sales, someone's coming on campus. So athletics, enrollment increases, they all work hand in hand. Now I want to give you an example of how the power of athletics not only rose the spirit, but also the academic profile of an institution. So I met with President Wade Roos of McNeese University, and he was talking about the win over Clemson during March Madness. And he was so excited to share with me the benefits. So number one, the website crashed in the middle of the game from so many people wanting to know about McNeese University. It crashed in the middle of the game. Incoming fall registrations up 13%. Earned media, the number that he is unbelievable to be able to hear for a very, very moderate $250,000 marketing budget. He equated it to millions of dollars from that win. We're winning in athletics, undoubtedly. We are winning in athletics. I had an opportunity to meet with Coach Vincent this morning, and what a great thought leader. But it was interesting when we were talking, we talked about housing. We talked about food services. We talked about all the same things that we're talking about in academics. So it takes thought leaders to be able to have those types of conversations and the collective wisdom. We will work together in athletics and academics. We are one ULM. And I think the partnership between athletics and academics can be strengthened undoubtedly, and it's really the president's role to be able to do that. But I see great times ahead. I see winning seasons. I see academics winning. I see athletics winning. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Calais, do we have questions from the audience?
Yes, sir, we have 5 questions. Good afternoon, Dr.
Good afternoon.
Castille. The first question is from a student, Kelly Lohman. And the question is, do you have any ideas on an initiative in general to bridge the gaps between our student groups and organizations?
So first, I had an opportunity to learn about the assessment that the students assess themselves taking money out of their pockets to be able to support those organizations. So you know that there's a passion for those types of organizations. I think the president has a role in supporting those organizations and listening to them. Just like everything else, we have to find those collective opportunities to be able to work together. I want to hear from them. I really do. I want to hear ways that the president can support those roles. But there are initiatives, and there are things that we can do on campus together, and we can rally around common causes. Having a degree in environmental toxicology, my master's degree, you have Bayou Desired here. Why can't we work together with these organizations in one initiative to be able to look at how we protect these resources for future generations? There are so many opportunities to be able to work together, but I do want to hear those ideas. I also want to make sure that I'm speaking their language. Their currency is so different from mine. Their use of technology is mind-blowing. So not only can we learn from them about what they're passionate about, but how we should best communicate with them and where their currency is, and how we can utilize those tools.
Thank you. The next question is from another student, Thomas Little. How do you see the role of broadcasting and communication channels in engaging students moving forward? And how would you support the students wanting to pursue their careers in communication?
Thanks. Know your stuff, know who you're stuffing, keep on stuffing. So it was interesting, when I was in engineering, we had a required course of communication, both public speaking as well as internal communication. I was actually offered a fellowship to go back to graduate school to get a degree in communication. I believe in the importance and the power of communication. I know that it has changed, and we are using electronic media. We're using social media. We're communicating in ways that when I was 15 years old or 18 years old or 25 years old, we didn't have those opportunities, but we're so more closely linked with communication. And I think it's important more than ever that we communicate. While we're behind our phones and we have our jobs, it's absolutely imperative that we communicate. We communicate the news. We communicate what's happening here at ULM. We communicate our wins. We communicate what we're passionate about. We communicate what they need to be successful. So communications, know your stuff, know who you're stuffing, keep on stuffing. Communications has been a tool of mine. I also want to mention that having an effective communications program here and having a communications team is going to be absolutely critical to be able to communicate that ULM is open for business. We're winning, we're succeeding, and we need students to be able to come here. So I think communications, I want to be able to work with those individuals and those students. We can learn from them. We really can.
Thank you. The next question is from another student, Gabrielle McLeod. What steps will you take to address the affordability of housing and food insecurity for students?
So let's start with the food insecurity one. So when I was riding on campus yesterday, I saw that we have a food pantry. We know that individuals in this state and our young adults, not everyone has access to safe and affordable food. Having that food pantry on campus, making sure that it's stocked, making sure that there's opportunities for people to be able to continue to stock them is critical. But how about how we grow that food? As an ag girl, do we have opportunities on campus to be able to look at a student garden? It's healing and it's therapeutic to have your hands in the soil and to be able to create something. So is there opportunity not only to stock that pantry with our canned goods and those items that we know that we can buy at the store, but how about the ones that we grow? Housing. I had an opportunity to ride through campus, and there are some needs. There really are. I think it's going to take a concerted effort. I really want to look at the housing budget. I think that's the first step, to be able to look at that budget and understand where we are and where the resources are dedicated to, and how that translates to the housing for our students. So it's not a punt, but it is an ask to be able to have some time to be able to look at that budget and be able to determine what our housing budget is, where the needs are, and how we can be most responsive.
Thank you. The next question is from a staff member here, Anne Marie Sorter. If hired, what will be your strategy to capitalize on the metadata center?
I am dreaming about Meta. 20 minutes away, Meta is a tremendous opportunity. And from someone who funded $220 million of artificial intelligence centers throughout the state, along with the National Science Foundation, this area for me is ripe. I see opportunities to be able to look at externships, internships, co-op opportunities. How do we make sure that our faculty and the employees at Meta are working together? Artificial intelligence, augmented reality. There's so many opportunities, and I would love to see some scholarships. I think we are going to provide that next generation for them. I have no problems asking Meta to be able to support ULM, which is, we're in their backyard. Also, those 11 AI centers that I funded, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling and I'm saying, we're going to partner. Because they've been through some of the challenges, but they know where the opportunities are. Can we share faculty with them? Can we look at shared resources? Can we partner with universities within the system, outside of the system, to be able to take advantage of it? And I know every university is looking at AI, technology. There's enough room under the tent for all of us. I can promise you that. If we were able to fund $220 million of AI institutes, there's plenty of room under the tent.
Thank you. This final question is from a staff member here, Kelly Blackburn. She is the ULM Director of Employer Relations and Outreach, and also a member of Leadership Washington. What ideas do you have to increase the number of jobs and internships for our students with the hope that many will remain in Monroe after graduation?
Thanks. So as I mentioned, the Northeast region, they're providing 30,000 jobs in healthcare. And we are the economic engine here. We are the economic engine. There are internship opportunities. And the benefits of being an intern is being in at the ground level to be able to understand what those jobs look like. And sometimes it's not just what the job looks like, but also you may figure out that this may not be the job for me. So the experience with internships, externships, and co-op opportunities, I think are tremendous to be able to get a bird's eye view, hands-on experience, and the opportunity sometimes to even lead and go through problem solving and decision-making processes. It only enhances the student. And undoubtedly, it makes those students even more valuable when they graduate. Remember, we want to be job ready day one, but we also want to make sure that our students have the intellectual curiosity to be pioneers, to be leaders, to be mayors, to be decision makers, to be business owners. I interned when I was in high school, and I interned when I was at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I actually tutored engineering students. That was my job. That was my job. And that set the course for the rest of my life, knowing that I wanted to be in education. That and 4-H, and of course my parents. So internships, externships, co-op opportunities, we can create those. All we got to do is ask.
Thank you, Dr. Castille. President Gallo, that concludes the questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Calais, and thank you, Dr. Castille. At this time, I would ask that the committee meet in executive session pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17 to discuss the personnel matters in association with this presidential search. While in executive session, the committee may meet with its staff, legal counsel, or other persons it deems necessary. No motions nor other actions may be taken while in executive session. May I have a motion and second to go into executive session? Moved by Supervisor Brown, seconded by Dr. Leatherman. Dr. Calais, would you call the roll?
Mr. Drew Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Steve Davison?
Yes.
Dr. Joe Leatherman?
Yes.
Miss Elizabeth Pierre?
Yes.
Mr. Mark Romero?
Yes.
Dr. Jeffrey Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you, it is unanimous.
Okay, we will now retire to executive session.